Hello and welcome back to Everyday English Talk, the podcast that helps you practice English for real life. I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben. Thanks for joining us today.
Today's topic is something that affects everyone, no matter their age or background: self-confidence.
That's right. Confidence is believing in yourself, trusting your own abilities, and feeling comfortable with who you are.
It's what helps us take risks, speak up, and try new things, even when we're not sure of the result.
Exactly. But confidence doesn't always come naturally. Many people struggle with self-doubt, especially after mistakes or criticism.
The good news is, confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you can build, step by step.
In this episode, we'll talk about what self-confidence really means, why it sometimes fades, and how you can strengthen it every day.
We'll also share some useful words and idioms to help you talk about confidence in English.
And don't forget, you can download the free PDF transcript and practice exercises from the link in the description.
So here's our first question. When do you feel most confident in yourself?
Think about it, and let's begin.
So Ben, before we talk about how to build confidence, let's start with the basics. What does self-confidence really mean?
Well, I'd say self-confidence means believing in your own abilities and feeling sure that you can handle challenges. It's that quiet voice inside that says, I can do this.
I love that. And it's not about being perfect. It's about trusting yourself, even when things don't go exactly as planned.
Exactly. Confident people make mistakes too. But the difference is, they don't let those mistakes define them. They see them as part of learning.
Yes, confidence is really a mix of courage, experience, and self-acceptance. It's believing that you have value just as you are, even while you're still growing.
That's so true, and I think confidence looks different for everyone. For some people, it's speaking in front of others. For others, it's simply trying something new.
Right. I remember when I started recording this podcast, I was nervous about my voice. I kept thinking, do I sound okay? But after a few episodes, I started to relax and believe in myself.
I know that feeling. When I first started teaching English, I was terrified. But with time and practice, my confidence grew. I realized that you don't have to know everything to be good at something. You just have to keep improving.
That's a great point. Confidence often comes from doing. The more you try, the more you trust yourself.
Exactly. And sometimes, confidence comes from preparation. When you're well prepared, like for a presentation or a job interview, you naturally feel more confident.
Yes, preparation helps remove fear. When you know what you're doing, your brain says, I've got this.
I also think it's important to remember that confidence isn't loud. Some people think confident people are always outgoing or talkative, but that's not true.
I agree. Confidence can be quiet. It's a calm kind of strength. It's being comfortable in your own skin, without needing to prove yourself all the time.
Exactly. And confidence doesn't mean you never feel nervous. It just means you believe in your ability to handle that nervousness.
Right. Even professional speakers and actors feel nervous before performing. They just don't let fear stop them.
Yes, that's the difference. Confident people feel fear, but they act anyway.
So, to sum up, self-confidence is about believing in yourself, accepting mistakes, learning from them, and moving forward with courage.
Well said. It's not something you either have or don't have. It's something you can build and strengthen over time.
Exactly. Confidence grows when you take small steps, and every time you succeed, even a little, your belief in yourself gets stronger.
So true. And once you start believing in yourself, other people start believing in you too.
That's the power of confidence. It inspires both you and the people around you. Let's go over some useful words and idioms from this part.
First, believe in yourself. It means to trust your own abilities and value. For example, you'll never succeed unless you believe in yourself.
Next, self-esteem. It means how you feel about yourself or your self-worth. For example, Her self-esteem improved after she reached her goals.
Then we have capable. It means having the skill or ability to do something. For example, you are capable of much more than you think.
Another one is inner strength. It means the confidence and courage you feel inside. For example, during hard times, she found her inner strength.
And finally, take pride in. It means to feel happy or satisfied about your achievements. For example, he takes pride in doing his work well.
These are great expressions to describe confidence and personal growth. Try using them when you talk about your goals or challenges. So Ben, we've talked about what confidence really means. But let's be honest, most of us don't feel confident all the time. Why do you think people lose confidence?
That's a good question. I think one of the biggest reasons is fear of failure. When people make a mistake or don't succeed, they start doubting themselves.
Yes, that's true. We all fail sometimes, but often we see failure as proof that we're not good enough, instead of seeing it as part of learning.
Exactly. When you fail, it doesn't mean you are a failure. It just means you're trying something difficult, and that's a good thing.
I love that. Another reason people lose confidence is comparison. We compare ourselves to others, their success, their looks, their achievements, and we forget that everyone's journey is different.
Oh, definitely. Especially with social media. You see perfect pictures and think, wow, everyone else's life looks amazing. But we forget that people usually post their best moments, not their struggles.
Right, and then we start feeling like we're behind or not doing enough. That's a quick way to lose confidence.
Yes. Comparison is like a trap. It doesn't motivate you, it just makes you feel smaller.
So true. And I think criticism also plays a big role. When someone says something negative about us, maybe a teacher, a boss, or even a family member, we sometimes believe those words too easily.
Exactly. One harsh comment can stay in your mind for years. I remember when I was younger, someone told me I wasn't a good speaker. For a long time, I believed it, until I realized I could improve with practice.
That's such a great example. It shows how words can shape our confidence. That's why it's important to speak kindly, both to others and to ourselves.
Yes. Self-talk really matters. If your inner voice keeps saying, you can't do it, your confidence will drop. But if you tell yourself, you're learning, or you've done this before, your confidence grows.
Exactly. Our thoughts can either build us up or tear us down. And sometimes, we lose confidence because we focus too much on what we can't do instead of what we can.
That's so true. And we often forget our own achievements. People remember their mistakes more easily than their successes.
Yes, I always tell my students to celebrate small wins, even simple things like speaking English for 5 minutes or finishing a project. It reminds you that you're capable.
Absolutely. Another reason people lose confidence is pressure, from society, family, or even themselves. When expectations are too high, it can feel impossible to meet them.
Right, and that pressure often leads to stress and fear of disappointing others. But the truth is, no one is confident all the time, and that's okay.
Exactly. Confidence goes up and down, depending on what's happening in life. The key is to keep trying, even when it feels low.
Yes, when we understand why we lose confidence, we can start to rebuild it.
I agree. The first step is awareness, and knowing what's making you doubt yourself. Once you see it clearly, you can start changing it.
That's such an important point. You can't fix what you don't recognize.
Exactly. And confidence isn't about never feeling scared. It's about believing you can face that fear.
Perfectly said, Ben. I think that's something we all need to remember. Let's look at some useful words and idioms from this part.
First, insecurity. It means a lack of confidence or feeling unsure about yourself. For example, she hides her insecurity behind a smile.
Next, self-doubt. That means not believing in your own abilities. For instance, he felt self-doubt before giving his first speech.
Then we have compare yourself. It means to measure your success against others. For example, try not to compare yourself to people on social media.
Another one is fear of failure. It means being afraid to make mistakes or not succeed. For example, his fear of failure stopped him from trying.
And finally, not good enough. It's a phrase people use when they don't value themselves. For example, she thought she wasn't good enough for the job, but she actually was.
These phrases describe feelings we all experience, but remember, they're just thoughts, not facts. You can always change them. So Ben, we've talked about what confidence is and why we sometimes lose it. Now let's talk about how we can build it again.
Yes, this is the exciting part, because confidence can be learned. It's not magic. It's a skill you develop little by little, with practice and patience.
That's right, and I think the first step is to set small, realistic goals. When you try to do too much at once, it can feel overwhelming. But small goals are easier to reach, and every success builds your confidence.
Exactly. Like when you're learning English. Instead of saying, I want to speak perfectly, start with something like, I'll have one short conversation today. When you succeed, you feel proud, and that motivates you to keep going.
I love that example. Confidence grows from action. You can't just wait to feel confident. You have to take small steps that prove to yourself, I can do this.
Yes. Another great step is to practice positive self-talk. The way we talk to ourselves really matters. If you keep saying, I'm not good enough, you'll start believing it. But if you say, I'm improving every day, it changes your mindset.
That's so true. I used to tell myself, I'm terrible at remembering names. But then I changed my words to, I'm learning to remember names. Just changing the way you speak to yourself makes a big difference.
That's a great example. And another thing that helps is preparation. When you prepare well for a meeting, an exam, or a presentation, you naturally feel more confident because you know what you're doing.
Exactly. Preparation reduces fear. I always say, confidence doesn't mean knowing everything. It means being ready to try.
I love that. And you know what else helps? Celebrating small wins. Many people only celebrate big achievements. But the small steps deserve recognition too.
Yes, when you notice progress, it reminds you how far you've come. Maybe you spoke English with a stranger, or you finished a workout. That's a win.
Definitely. And those moments add up. Every time you succeed, your confidence grows a little stronger.
Another tip is to face your fears. Confidence doesn't come from avoiding what scares you, it comes from doing it anyway.
That's true. You don't have to do something huge. Start small, like asking a question in class or speaking in a meeting. The more you practice courage, the easier it gets.
Yes, confidence grows through action, not perfection. And the more you act, the less power fear has.
Exactly. I also think body language helps. Standing tall, making eye contact, and smiling can actually make you feel more confident.
That's such a good point. When you look confident on the outside, your brain starts to believe it on the inside.
Yes, it's like sending yourself a message, I've got this.
So, to build confidence, take small steps, talk kindly to yourself, prepare well, and face your fears. Over time, those small actions create big change.
Perfectly said. Confidence isn't something you find, it's something you create through daily choices.
Exactly. And the best part? The more you practice, the stronger it becomes. Let's look at some useful words and idioms from this part.
First, self-talk. It means the way you speak to yourself in your mind. For example, her positive self-talk helped her overcome fear.
Next, small wins. That means little successes that motivate you. For instance, celebrate small wins to stay confident.
Then we have progress. It means improvement or moving forward. For example, he's making great progress in his studies.
Another one is step by step. It means doing something slowly and carefully, one stage at a time. For example, she built her confidence step by step.
And finally, face your fears. It means to confront things that make you nervous. For example, he decided to face his fears and give the presentation.
These are great expressions to use when you talk about personal growth or building confidence. So Ben, we've talked a lot about how to build confidence for ourselves, but I think there's something just as powerful, helping others feel confident too.
I completely agree. When we encourage others, we don't just lift them up, we also strengthen our own confidence. It creates a positive circle.
Yes. Confidence grows faster when it's shared. Sometimes a few kind words or a small compliment can make a big difference in someone's day.
Absolutely. I remember once, a student told me she was too shy to speak in English class. I told her, "You don't have to be perfect, just brave." She smiled, and after a few weeks, she started speaking more.
That's such a great story. Support like that helps people believe in themselves again. When someone sees that you have faith in them, it gives them courage.
Exactly. We all need that reminder sometimes, that someone believes in us. Even confident people lose motivation at times.
So true. And helping others feel confident doesn't always mean giving advice. Sometimes it's just listening and showing understanding.
Yes, when people feel heard, they also feel valued, and that builds confidence. A simple, "I understand" or "you're doing your best" can mean a lot.
I think it's also important not to compare people. Everyone learns and grows at their own pace. When we compare, we create pressure. But when we support, we create motivation.
Exactly. Encouragement should never sound like competition. Confidence grows best in an atmosphere of kindness and respect.
And that's true in schools, at work, and even in families. When parents or teachers use positive words, children learn to trust themselves.
Yes, and the same goes for coworkers and friends. Saying, "Great job," or "I like how you handled that," can make someone's day brighter.
Another way to help others feel confident is by being a role model. When you show calmness, patience, or positivity, people around you feel inspired.
That's right. You don't have to be perfect, just authentic. Real confidence comes from being yourself and letting others see that it's okay not to have all the answers.
Exactly. Sometimes, just showing that you're trying and learning gives others permission to do the same.
And interestingly, helping others builds your own self-esteem too. When you focus on encouraging people, you stop overthinking your own weaknesses.
That's a wonderful point. Lifting others up helps you feel stronger too. It reminds you that you have something to give.
Yes. True confidence is quiet and kind. It's not about showing off, but about helping others shine.
I love that. Confidence isn't competition, it's connection. The more we share it, the more it grows.
So, if you want to feel more confident, try giving encouragement to someone else. You'll both benefit.
Beautifully said, Ben. Building others up is one of the best ways to build yourself. Let's check some useful words and idioms from this part.
First, encourage. It means to give someone support or confidence. For example, her teacher encouraged her to keep studying English.
Next, support. It means to help or stand by someone. For instance, good friends support each other during difficult times.
Then we have lift someone up. It means to make someone feel happier or more confident. For example, his kind words lifted me up after a bad day.
Another one is role model. It means a person whose behavior sets a good example for others. For example, her older sister is her role model.
And finally, inspire. It means to make someone want to do something positive. For example, his courage inspired others to follow their dreams.
These are great words to describe how we can share positivity and build confidence in others. So, let's take a moment to review what we've talked about today.
We started by understanding what self-confidence really means. Believing in yourself, accepting your mistakes, and trusting your ability to grow.
Then we talked about why people lose confidence. Things like fear of failure, comparison, or negative comments can make us doubt ourselves. But it's important to remember, everyone feels unsure sometimes.
After that, we learned some practical steps to rebuild confidence. Start small, use positive self-talk, prepare well, celebrate small wins, and face your fears one step at a time.
Exactly. Confidence doesn't come from perfection, it comes from progress. Every time you try, even a little, you become stronger.
And finally, we talked about helping others feel confident too. Encouraging someone, listening, or giving a kind word can inspire both them and you.
Confidence grows faster when it's shared. The more we support each other, the more positive and confident we all become.
So, believe in yourself, take action, and help others believe in themselves too.
Because real confidence isn't just about what you achieve, it's about how you lift yourself and others along the way. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Remember, self-confidence is something you build, not something you're born with.
Yes. Be patient with yourself, keep practicing, and celebrate every small step forward.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. They're proof that you're learning and growing.
And don't forget, you can download the free PDF transcript and practice exercises from the link in the description.
Thanks for joining us on Everyday English Talk.
Take care and believe in yourself every single day.